Welcome all to this very interesting session in terms of the prevalence of artificial intelligence. Digital governance is what has been the focus of countries across the globe. I have with me a very vibrant, diverse panel, members of parliament from all across the globe. We have members of parliament, Mr. Andrei Korobeinik from Estonia, Member of Parliament Timo Harakka, who's also former Minister of Transport and Communication to 2019 to 2023, Lord Ross Kempsell, Member of the House of Lords from United Kingdom. We have Honorable Sanjaya Perera, who's Member of Parliament Sri Lanka. We also have with us Shri Tejasvi Surya, Member of Parliament Lok Sabha, Bharat. I'm going to start my conversation with some straight questions. Mr. Timo Harakka, I want to understand from you, the end use case of digital governance, the success rate, and what have been the uses that have happened in Finland, in your country?
Well, thank you for having me here. It's a great pleasure and privilege. We have the honor of being very successful in ratings and comparisons in the European stage. So we've consistently been voted as the most advanced digital society. So I would say that digital first is a principle that is the most successful and most important in e-governance, meaning that by default people and citizens will interact with the government digitally, but there must always be an option of not doing so if there's some accessibility issues. But yes, you will have to go headlong to the deep end of digitalization.
Absolutely. Lord Kempsell, coming to you, again the same question. In your country, what has been the success rate of digital governance? If you could give me examples specifically of how it has been rolled out.
We have a large number of programs in the UK working on the improvement of digital government and e-services. A big part of that is the gov.uk program, which has recently been moving all of the ways in which citizens log in to government services to a single login, which has been a helpful development. But the key elements that I'm really excited about in terms of the UK's partnership with India on this, just in October of last year, the UK established a joint India-UK AI Centre, which is really promising, talking about the ways in which the public sector might use AI productively in those two countries. And I think increasingly we also are working on our joint technology initiatives in defence and in security in the public sector as well. So that's something I'm welcoming.
I'm going to ask the same question to you, Mr. Andrei Korobeinik. Use case scenarios from Estonia, and are there examples that are also being imbibed from the success stories in other countries, even the governance model, e-governance model in Estonia?
Yeah, sure. So for Estonia, we actually started a long time ago. We have basically all the government services online. We have a tax department for 25 years. You can file your taxes in, 1 minute. You just press the button and all the data gets there. You can get married online. You can get divorced online, which is especially convenient. We exported our e-government platform to Finland, and we are really proud of that because, usually it goes back way. And we have online elections, so about half of people vote online and half go to the actual elections. And our challenge currently is to use AI more efficiently because AI can provide proactive solutions. So instead of doing your business online, you can be notified about your health risks, for instance, about your opportunities of doing business, and so on and so on. So this is what is our next challenge. But this traditional e-government is quite successful in Estonia.
The same question to you, Mr. Perera. In Sri Lanka, the success rate of digital governance.
Actually, becoming a e-state is a more important thing. That changes has to be happen. In Sri Lanka concern, of course, we have digital centralized, and we have connected all the institutions, connected to the government, all the institutions. And actually, we have government sector, of course, services for the citizens, and the payments, of course, we have digitalized at the moment. But anyway, there are more institutions has to be connected to the digital system. The other hand, of course, now by doing that, of course, our people have better service and efficiency, and past service also, that advantage is there. So as far as when compared to other countries, we have achieved about 40%. But the problem is our urban area population is only 30 to 40%, but the majority are in village area. But the digital technology, the rural area of people, the citizens are not much used to that. So therefore, what we have introduced, only 30% are benefiting on that. That's the current situation in Sri Lanka.
Shri, Tejasvi, Surya, we've heard the digital success stories from all these countries. But if you could again highlight, when we talk about e-Shram, when we talk about direct benefit transfers, this has all been enabled very successfully in India through digital governance. If you could shed more light into this for our international audience.
Yes, thank you so much for having me here. And I think India has been a global case study in how digital public infrastructure can be deployed at population scale to enable better delivery of services, improve quality of life of citizens, and also, most importantly, increase the efficiency in governance delivery. One example is the one that you mentioned about direct benefit transfer. The government of India has traditionally been supporting large sections of a population with subsidies. And these subsidies, because of lack of digital public infrastructure earlier, were leading to a lot of leakage. Since we introduced the Jan Dhan Aadhaar mobile, that is, the Aadhaar ID, digital ID, and the mobile seeding and the bank seeding together, we have transmitted close to 45 lakh crore rupees to citizens in their bank accounts directly, and close to 4.5 lakh rupees has been saved, which would otherwise have gotten leaked. This is one example. Next example is how at population scale, India used the same digital public infrastructure, which is open and interoperable platform, to vaccinate the largest population in the world in the smallest possible time. So using the CoWIN platform, the country vaccinated 1 billion people in a record 45-50 days in 2 doses. And all of this was done so seamlessly. The third thing that India has done extremely well is the ease of life of citizens. For example, if you were to take an Uber from here to the airport, from booking your Uber to paying the Uber driver to entering the airport with your digital DigiYatra pass, to your bank transactions that enable all of this to happen, all of this done in the same open and interoperable platform, which is directly increasing the quality of life of citizens. In the same way, what we have also done is build digital solutions for saving a lot of the IDs, like your passports, your driving license, all of this in the same platform called DigiLocker, which today millions of Indians are using, And this is again an indication of how India has transformed or progressed from a paper-based governance platform to a platform-based governance platform in the last 10 years.
Yeah, I think they're some of the most fantastic examples in India being the most populous nation. If it can be implemented at such a massive scale in India, it can be implemented across all countries in the world. Again, coming back to you, Mr. Harakka, is your country also studying global successful models like the one that Tejasvi Surya just mentioned when we talk about direct benefit transfers that are being made, or passports that are now digital, or we talk about licenses that are digital, and some really great examples that have been given by Andrei Korobeinik, that you can marry online, you can divorce online, you can you can even vote online.
Well, yes, and I need to highlight one service that is, I think, being very exemplary for quite some time, and that has produced the fact that 96% of Finnish people do not file a tax return because the tax authority already has the information that it needs from this person's income and deductibles, and also gives a suggestion of how what kind of tax will be paid or returned. And so that's a vast majority chooses that option, and that means a huge saving. And I'm sure that these kind of examples are also exportable. But what I do actually was very impressive on the Indian example is the sovereignty of these solutions. And this is something that we in Europe are increasingly now looking at. So we are looking at possibilities to build the so-called Euro stack, so we could have all the digital services from messaging all up to cloud services as sovereign European solutions, since we do not want to be dependent on certain vendors or certain countries, be they east or west. And I think this is hugely impressive in the Indian solution, that you could manage on such a scale, on such a sovereign solution. And I think it's an inspiration for all of us.
Lord Kempsell, again, in United Kingdom, what are the big challenges you think in being able to successfully implement e-governance?
I think the biggest challenge is public sector efficiency. So making sure that when the public sector decides to take on an e-government program, it does it in the most efficient way, which means good value for money. So spending money wisely on the infrastructure and the digital IT infrastructure that you need to roll it out. There's no shortage of opportunity in terms of the enthusiasm of the population. Citizens want to access e-services, and I think we do look to some of the European partners, Finland, Estonia and others preeminently, who have really implemented these technologies successfully. Another challenge in the UK is that it does have a bigger population, and it has a population with different demographics. So there are different levels of ability to access services in the UK compared to some other countries. But adoption is increasing, and I think there's also a factor with AI becoming more and more known, becoming more familiar in businesses, in trade, in everyday life, that the AI boom is also going to shift people into a new way of using e-government services. So we can all imagine a world not too far from now where with a single AI portal, a citizen would be able to access services through a chat bot and be able to be navigating government services in that way.
I'll come to you, Andrei Korobeinik, once again. Do you think smaller countries like Finland and Estonia, where population is small, it is an advantage in the sense that it's easier to roll out these governance models?
Well, I personally think it's a huge disadvantage because it's not like much more expensive to build a system for a country like India. Of course, scaling up is a challenge, but the cost is not growing like proportionally, and I think those countries have a huge advantage at this point. for countries like Finland or Estonia, I think it's a good chance to become some sort of like a test bed, especially within the European Union, which is extremely highly regulated. It's really difficult actually to do innovation in the European Union nowadays. I'm not sure if that's easier for UK. You know, you got away, but Europe has challenges, and making such small countries as a platform for testing new solutions with a bit, you know, easier regulation would be a good way. In India, I think it can be done maybe on like states level, but in Europe, countries have this chance. But otherwise, I think one advantage for a small country is that it's more unified. So if there is a common belief that a service would be useful, for example, e-elections are a controversial thing. Not everyone, you know, believes in that. Or, for example, an essential factor for a successful e-government solution is unified some sort of ID, which is a huge issue for countries like Germany, for example, that don't want, you know, to be like identified by one specific number. But for Estonia or Finland, it's easier because people, when there is not a lot of people, it's easier, you know, to sell such ideas to a smaller amount of population.
Absolutely. In Sri Lanka, again, how are government e-governance models setting example for other countries to follow, and what is it that the government is imbibing from the rest of the world, and especially your neighbor, India?
When compared to other countries, of course, we are not up to the other countries' level. For example, Estonia, I think they are in success of 90%. So our major problem, major challenges is there's a big gap about the knowledge, technology knowledge in our society. So actually we have to find a solution for that. Already the government has started in order to get the knowledge from the school students level. So we have introduced the IT subject to the curriculum. So in time to come, another 5 or 10 years time, I think we can come up to the international level. That is our hope. Thank you.
Tejasvi, Surya, a quick question with regards to, you know, all the examples that have been given by all these members of parliament from all the countries, whether in Europe or in the subcontinent. Talking about ease of living is something that is the end goal. Do you think India still has challenges to overcome?
Well, see, ease of living is a concept that you do not achieve in one go. I mean, it is a process in continuum. You have achieved a certain degree of ease of living and quality of life for your citizens, and tomorrow there is another degree that you can always aspire for. One example I would like to give at this point is how the UPI transactions have been a game changer in so far as financial transactions for 1 billion people. I still remember when we were in school, sending money orders, going to a post office or a bank and drawing a money order, and then you would get it the next day. It was a hassle. Today you can send it as easily as you send an SMS or a WhatsApp message. And India today is the world leader when it comes to UPI transactions. We do 725 million transactions per day. And this is across our challenging and diverse demography, both in terms of our geographical diversity as well as the socio-economic diversity that we have in the country. So I think the aspiration of increasing the ease of living of our citizens, better quality of life for our citizens is a constant everyday exercise. We keep achieving newer peaks and climbing newer heights every day. So there's no summit as such to this endeavor.
I think it has been a fantastic insightful session with all of you. We talk about digital governance, artificial intelligence. That's the future where the world is heading towards, and you all are working in the right direction and doing very important work in building a consensus when it comes to digital governance and bringing people closer, bringing people ease of living is something that is the focus, and it's been a fantastic session. Like I said, a huge round of applause for our legislators. Thank you very much.